What's the most unforgivable thing that ever happened at your child's school? My son's teacher spent months convincing him that our normal parental discipline was abuse, and when I found out why, I couldn't sleep for months. It started when my 8-year-old son Jake came home from school, asking why I was so mean to him. The day prior, I'd given him a timeout for hitting his sister. He'd never questioned this before, but now was telling me that his teacher, Mr. Davis, said loving parents never punish their children and don't make them follow rules. I brushed it off initially. Jake was 8. Of course, he'd prefer a world without rules, but the comments kept coming. When I assigned him chores, Jake would cry and say, Mr. Davis told him children shouldn't have to work. When I enforced his bedtime, he'd sob that his teacher said parents who force sleep schedules don't care about their kids' feelings. I tried to keep disregarding it, but by November, it was something I could no longer ignore. Jake was becoming defiant in ways that felt coached. He'd use phrases like emotional abuse and psychological damage, words no 8-year-old should know, let alone use against their parent. The breaking point came when Jake refused to attend his cousin's birthday party because I wouldn't let him bring his tablet. Mr. Davis says parents who make kids go places without their comfort items are being cruel, he declared, arms crossed. I decided to meet with Mr. Davis directly. I explained my concerns about the messages Jake was receiving. Mr. Davis listened, nodding sympathetically. I appreciate you coming to me, he said, but I'm just teaching your children about their rights and helping them recognize when adults might be overstepping boundaries. I explained that basic household rules weren't abuse, that children needed structure and consequences. Mr. Davis smiled condescendingly. That night, Jake came to me with a notebook. Mr. Davis wants me to write down every time you make me do something I don't want to do, he said. He says it's important to document things so I can remember them later. I felt sick. This wasn't education. This was manipulation. I scheduled another meeting with Mr. Davis immediately, and this time during it, I wasn't so agreeable. I told him flat out I had no idea what he was doing, but it was creepy and he had to stop it. His face shifted when I said that. He didn't say much, just went red and quickly mumbled a few apologies before telling me it wouldn't happen again and leading me out the door. I left thinking the matter was solved, but then just a week later came the phone call that changed everything. This is Child Protective Services. Within a few hours, a woman I didn't know was in our home, examining everything, interviewing Jake privately, and asking him detailed questions about my parenting methods. I felt terrified for my life. But then Jake unknowingly threw me a lifeline. Coached by months of Mr. Davis's messaging, Jake described our household rules as psychologically charged punishments that make him question his self-worth. Who taught you these words? The caseworker asked him. Mr. Davis, Jake replied without hesitation. That was the first crack, because after 2 weeks of investigating me and finding nothing, the caseworker turned her attention towards the source, Mr. Davis, and what she found was disturbing. Turns out, Mr. Davis had made similar reports about 5 other single mothers in the past decade. All mothers had children in his class. All reports were made for emotional abuse and were found false. In each case, Mr. Davis had positioned himself as the child's advocate and protector. But what was even worse was what the caseworker discovered about Mr. Davis personally. It turns out he had repeatedly expressed interest in fostering children between the ages of 6 to 10, but not fostering them with the intention of being a loving father. You see, Mr. Davis's mobile phone was confiscated during the investigation, and on it, he was found to have text messages with multiple kids around Jake's age. These were inappropriate, intimate in nature, and leaving no room for interpretation. It became clear very quickly that Mr. Davis wasn't just trying to undermine parents. He was trying to get rid of them so he could adopt the kids and have them for his pleasure. The arrest made local news. Parents were horrified. I remember Jake came home the day it happened, actually mad at me that I had gotten his favorite teacher in trouble. That's when I had to sit him down and have what is still the hardest conversation of my entire life. I explained to him what grooming was, what Mr. Davis did, and I made damn sure that Jake knew that absolutely none of this was his fault. It took me over 2 hours to explain everything, but by the end of it, we were both crying and hugging it out. Jake kept telling me he was wanted to punch Mr. Davis now, and I kept telling him the people in jail would do that for him. It's been 4 years since then, and Jake and I have rebuilt our relationship. What we went through was messed up, but we came out stronger.